Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 7 of Bass Tunes. You're listening to KUCI 88.9 FM. I'm Arian Salimi, and we are currently at 199.8 watts. We got the meter reading going, and if you can't hear from the background, if you recognize this music, we're talking about Broadcast's Tender Buttons, the third and basically final studio album released by the ever-changing group that was the, dream pop band, Indie-tronica collective. Previously a band, and with this album they whittled themselves down to the duo of the main creative force behind Broadcast, that being James Cargill and Trish Keenan, whose lovely vocals you might be hearing in the background. Well, you are hearing them in the background, but I don't know how loud you're going to be hearing them, right? Patricia Keenan, she was the main vocalist for Broadcast. She unfortunately passed away from pneumonia after contracting the H1N1 swine flu in January, I believe, 14th, 2011. So rest in peace to her soul. Beautiful, beautiful voice. Let's get into it. Well, Broadcast is an interesting band, of course. They were founded in Google Samsung Galaxy S20 Plus moment. They were founded in 1995. Trish Keenan and James Cargill were the main creative forces. Now, despite the other sort of areas of the band switching, like the guitar, drums, keyboards, I mean, I'm on the page right now, and we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people who also work with them at different points, whether as instrumentalists in the band during actual studio recordings or live touring performers. And after 2005, which is when Hot Tender Buttons was released, Broadcast just became Cargill and Keenan. Well, we can start with their beginnings real quick. Of course, they were founded in 1995 after meeting at the Cargill and Keenan met. And before they really put out an album, for a few years, they were basically just doing singles. And Warp Records ended up signing them around shortly after they were formed. And if you want to look at their first sort of full things, I guess their first sort of project in the way is the Work and Non-Work compilation album, comprising of 9 tracks. And actually, it had the first track I ever heard from them, which was, I believe it was The World Backwards, the Peel Session version. Now, what on earth is the Peel Session? Well, that's interesting. Essentially, on BBC Radio 1, one of the biggest, most iconic hosts was John Peel. And on his show, a lot of people would come and perform for them live in the studio. And this happened up until he died in 2004. Also, rest in peace to his soul. So, being like a British band or electronic group, whatever you are, a Peel Session makes you feel big. I know Boards of Canada was on there, and I love them, and they were also signed to Warp Records. Captain Beefheart, apparently, if y'all know that album, the, Child Mask Replica, one of the best sort of outsider music things. Awkwardness happening. I'm laughing. I'm singing along to Keenan. But in 2000, their first album was called The Noise Made by People, and actually sort of has their biggest song on there, I'd say, which is Come On, Let's Go. I'm actually going to toss that on there right now because I like it. We also have the Peel Sessions. It actually recently came out in a compilation on streaming, but of course, So I'm not sure if you can hear that, but I would definitely say that The Noise Made by People is, out of the 3 albums, it's the softest. It's the most sort of classically dreamy 1960s era influenced by the band the United States of America. Not the country, but the band. Just sort of mixing psychedelic and, I don't know, sounds some elevator music stuff, but it's very synthy. It's very light and airy, and I think it really does fit with the sort of icy demeanor of Keenan's vocals, which I think was always the band's biggest selling point, was her. It was Keenan. It was great. It was absolutely stunning. But as you can see, listening to this, it really does sound more like a traditional band. But, of course, other songs on there are also pretty good. I would definitely say that the one thing I'll say about Broadcast, Tender Buttons is definitely my favorite album from them because I think I like it the most as a album. You know what I mean? Like, the other ones are a little bit more scattered, I would say. But there's some really good songs here. But then in 2003, they released their second album, Ha Ha Sound. Now, this one was interesting as it sort of shifted the really dreamy, I guess sort of nostalgic mood of the noise made by people into something more refined, less dreamlike, and more of a nightmarish state. You have these beautiful, spacey sounds, right? But they're sort of dirtied up. They're sort of thrown in against like a just dirt and compression and weird skittering little clanks and grinding noises. And the drumming, my absolute favorite part of Ha Ha Sound is the drummer on this thing. I got to pull up the guy's name because I got to give this guy a special thank you from Aryan Salimi, the host of Bass Tunes, the world's greatest show, 100%, right? Indeed. Well, we got ourselves the drummer, the big boy, the man himself, Neil Bullock, recording drums for every track except for Winter Now. Now, I'll go ahead and play a little snippet of this guy's drumming because this is one of I'd say like this album, Death Grips, like Zach Hill's material, and gosh, I know there was a third sort of thing, like a third artist that I really liked that really made me think, oh my, I love drumming. It's amazing. It's stellar. Like, it's absolutely stellar. Hold on a moment, gamers. All right, we got that underway. Let me take you through this song Pendulum real quick. I know we're not talking about Tender Buttons, but I also kind of wanted to use this show as a way to sort of reflect on the entirety of Broadcast's admittedly short-lived musical career, at least when it comes to their 3 studio albums. And you can listen to Pendulum right here. I'm actually going to go ahead. I'm not sure if this is the most accurate of the sound, but if you listen to this right now, one thing I'll really say about Pendulum, it's skittish, it's eerie, it sounds disjointed. And it's like the whole band is sort of clattering around her, all the music, but Keenan's sort of just staying with her high alto, icy, frigid, booming voice. Like, do you hear those drums? I think it's the way they're compressed. Personally, that's what I really think really sells it. However they recorded these drums, I want to know how they did it because they sound loud. They sound booming. They're clashing. They're clattering. They might be clipping even. We got a little bit of alliteration here. The humanities core in me is going off right now because of this. And I got to show you the part where the guitar comes in too because I really like that part too. There's like a guitar that comes in for like 1/4 bar after the hook. It just shows up and then never shows up again, but But I will say Pendulum is probably one of, if not my favorite song. Actually, I'm going to give that to Man Is Not a Bird. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the drumming at the end of this thing because if you hear the drums on that thing, it's absurd. I know I'm not talking about Tender Buttons, but I will say I really think that Tender Buttons of all things is a much more stark and different album compared to Ha Ha Sound and the noise made by people. I would say that generally, those three albums generally sort of stand outside of each other. They're all pretty different, more than I would generally say for a lot of artists out there, to be honest with you. Now, you can tell in those past two albums of songs that I sort of skimmed over and let y'all hear some segments of stuff that I really liked, is that they really sounded like a full frontal band, especially in Ha Ha Sound, where they got the drummer. They grew. And in 2005, everybody sort of left. Maybe some financial reasons, maybe some disputes, I'm not sure. But it was just Keenan and Cargill. And they went a lot more stark and electronic. And I would definitely say that all of Broadcast material has that electronic tinge to it, those buzzing synthesizers. But it was sort of like on top of other stuff too. Now it's just the electronics. You might have the occasional guitar. The only track that actually has live drumming is the beginning, I Found the F, and part of me does wish there was more of that because it sounds very nice, but I will definitely say Tender Buttons is the most cold and perhaps a little off-putting of all of Broadcast's work. Well, maybe not all of their work. Their later work as sort of small EPs, albums, short EPs, and like little compilation projects that came out while they were touring around 2009 to 2011 era, right before Keenan's death, sort of took a more horror approach, a little bit more eerie. And I would always say Broadcast had a bit of eeriness to them. But more than anything, I would definitely say Tender Buttons is sort of their most off-putting album when it comes to just these grindy synthesizers. You have sheer elements of noise. Like the ending of the song Arc of a Journey. Is it the longest one? Yeah, it's the longest track on this thing, and it just kind of mutters and sputters around with this like disjointed. You can go ahead and pull that up actually. You can sort of see how icy it is. I would definitely say that Tender Buttons is the most simplistic out of all their albums. There's something barren. You just have the synthesizer, maybe the occasional guitar pluck, some slight other instruments like here we have, I suppose a xylophone is what I'd call it. I'm not too certain. Some sort of instrument. But more than anything, outside of all the noise, is Keenan. She remains as a rock. And not all the tracks are these sort of electronic noise exercises. The track Tears in the Typing Pool, might be my favorite. I don't think I'm going to end up playing it out for you guys. I already have the song loaded up in my record player because, of course, I had to get the record for Tender Buttons. I thought it was going to be my last record, but no, it wasn't. My record collection has gone tomb nuts. Like, I ordered Pulp Different Class, which maybe I'll talk about eventually. I really like Different Class. I'm just a really big fan of British culture. A lot of Americans, a lot of people, a lot of people my age, like, oh, British, oh, you want tea and crumpet, mate? It's like they're making fun of it. But I really do have an intense, immense appreciation for British culture. I think part of it is just the terrible weather they generally live in. They're honest and blunt and bleak. There's beauty in that. There's realism. I gotta watch more British comedy, of course. I was gonna do an episode on comparing the UK versus US Office. And which one do I prefer? I don't know. I think the UK version is better as an entire cohesive piece, just because it did not run for nearly as long. But like, if I had to pick one to stay with on an island, it'd be the US one. It makes me feel better. But there's something so real about it. Enough Office chat. I feel like, you out here guys be swiping on Tinder. It's like, I'm looking for the Jim to my Pam. And I'm like, I don't know, bro. That's like adultery, you know what I mean? And I wouldn't say that neither of those two were the most... They're both very flawed people. I'm just laughing at the notion of discussing all this stuff. You feel me? Lyrically, Tender Buttons is also their most esoteric work. Keenan was sort of quoted, I'm going to paraphrase this, but she's like, I wanted to come into the studio and I just wanted to not sing about myself. It's like fragments of words, ideas sort of thrown in. It's a little bit, I wouldn't know if it's pretentious, but it's a little bit off-putting. We can look at Arc of the Journey. Constellation of Orion, a picture of the past, a future so vast, a mnemonic game on the Arc of a Journey. And of course, you hear the song scuttering and spitting. And this is the track that actually put me off the album a lot. Is this. You're going to hear in a second. It's just... The next minute and a half of the song, closing it out, is just noise. Obviously, it's the same melody, but it's compressed and sort of filtered out, and it sounds ear-piercing. And that's sort of the way I describe a lot of this album, is ear-piercing. But the core appeal, which I actually really haven't gotten into describing yet, would you look at that, is there's these really nice pop songs. Like, in spite of the fact that Tender Buttons, out of all broadcast work, is maybe the most off-putting in terms of its sound, with its very stark, cold electronics. It's also the most accessible in terms of poppiness. We have songs like America's Boy, which is still probably my favorite. A song, of course, about... She described it as just saying, sort of celebrating the American soldier. And she's like, oh no, I'm going to get pegged as a neoconservative. You know, this is like post-Bush era. What is it, 2005? So yeah, he's in his second term, and there's a lot of patriotism, especially for the military with the invasion of Iraq and Afghanistan. I can't believe that. I have to apologize to myself right now. I said Iraq. I'm Middle Eastern. Iraq. There you go. All right? Because I get a little antsy when people are like Iran or, you know, Iran. Like, no, it's Iran. Well, maybe there's no syllable in there. I don't exactly have the greatest Persian accent as I was raised with English, but I can say the khale, you know. Hey, Khale Zari, if you're listening to this. Actually, no. Khale Pari. Because she's the one who has the best grasp of English. I love all y'all dearly. If you ever listen to this, all my Khales, all my Amus, all my Mama Bazorgs, Baba Bazorgs, Mama Jun, rest in peace to Aha Jun. I love you guys so much. I'm actually smiling really hard because I just want to see my cousin Kiana get married. Kiana, if you're listening to this, love you so much. Shout out to my family. I miss all of you dearly. The reason why I'm giggling is the absurdism of what I'm saying. Feeling like you looking for the chance to let go. And if you're feeling like you're looking for that chance to let go, let go, let go. And also the vocals are amazing. Trish Keenan, Angel, actual Angel on the vocals. These lyrics are pretty interesting too. Michael, wake up, we're going back to Chelmsleywood. My feet are dancing, but can you see them? My feet are dancing so much, and I hate that. If you're looking for a chance to let go, and of course the go, you just feel weird. It's a good feeling. Of course, we're letting this ride a bit. I'm really enjoying the current format. Sort of letting the vocals ride, letting the music and the melodies ride up on there. And we are dropping. Ooh, y'all be dropping off like a cliff. Hey, viewers, hey, stream bass tunes. It's like stream whatever K-pop album. Oh, stream Yummy by Justin Bieber. Hydration break is over. Welcome back to Bass Tunes. You're listening to KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. I'm Arian Salimi, host of Bass Tunes episode 7. We're talking about broadcast Tender Buttons, and we're just skittering around and sputtering around and being a little devious little boy on the microphone. But yeah, I really like Tender Buttons. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's obvious. You can hear me talking about it. I love broadcasts. I really wish they were able to continue because I felt like they're going in a really interesting direction, and it's tragic, the death of Keenan, but we did get some new material early this year, thankfully. Well, not really early, but re-released material, repackaged, released on streaming. We have Mother is the Milky Way, that's some of my most favorite interesting material, which is In Here the World Begins. That song is really good, but it's like very noisy. It's more like old film noise more than synthesizer noise. I will definitely say they're going in a really interesting direction, and it saddens me. But of course, I think it's worth listening. She remains with us in this music, and a lot of people reflect on that. Like, as much as I like to look at stuff like this in the sense that what it was, and I'm not gonna act like it's like my favorite album of all time. The synthesizers, the sawtooths and all that, I think the correct term for a lot of the stuff on here is sawtooth. A lot of it can be a bit irritating to the ears, especially in the beginning of the album. Or more specifically, rephrase that, on beginning listens. But you just get this weird cold feeling with it. But there's these really nice pop songs and these really soothing vocal melodies by Keenan. And it's weirdly cold and warm at the same time. It's like you got a little bit of icy hot. Maybe it's what I'll call this album. This is the icy hot of albums. I was trying to think of a tagline for this episode because I always like to have some sort of hook in the title when I post it on Instagram. By the way, follow me on Instagram, BASEDTUNESKUCI, Bass Tunes KUCI on Instagram. Y'all know how we do it. We're doing it great. We're doing the greatest show on earth. Everyone on this radio station is great. I love all you, but Bass Tunes forever. We're gonna go a little off topic here in a second. Enjoy the tunes for a second. Invaded by the quarrel, and I denied the mail. Let me drop down the. All right, welcome back. I mean, of course, that was a quick little thing, but we got to hydrate up here. It's hard to talk like this for a long time, but that's my skill. That's my skill set. That's why I'm on the radio. We got it going. Now, before I sign y'all off for today on this little bit of a rambler fest, I will say I have not had the time to not just go in and go off. I love going off top of my head. I love just going in on a show. It's my favorite thing in the world. Just turn the mic on and just have to come up with something. Have to go, because I already have this knowledge in me, you know? I already have this idea. I already have the energy in me. But, of course, being able to structure it is always better. And I'm going to, hopefully, we're going to get some better structure in there next week. I'm not trying to rag on myself too much. I'm proud of what I do. I'm proud of this show and what I've been able to accomplish with it. But, you know, there's always better. And that's one thing I like to say. You can always do better. Doesn't mean you're not good as is. Doesn't mean you can't appreciate where you are. But it's always good to do better. Now, actually, before I sign y'all off, we're going to do a quick little Warzone deep dive, as I like to call it. Because, yes, that is like even a cornerstone of this show. I even thought from the beginning, hey, look, I get to talk about this game that I really love. And what am I going to talk about? Operation Monarch. Now, what is Operation Monarch? You might know it as, oh, yeah, Godzilla and King Kong are coming to 1945 era Hawaii. And you get to run around with guns that look like they came out of the year 3000 while you're playing as Snoop Dogg, born in 1971, who his likes on the bio is K-pop, listening to K-pop. That's real, by the way. Apparently, I didn't even know this, but Snoop Dogg is a bit of a K-pop stan. He's been working with them. Shout out to Snoop. We're going manic on here. But the mode that everyone's been hyping, that I've been sort of hyped up for, I get to shoot monkeys, I get to shoot gorillas, I get to watch them fight. Unfortunately, they don't fight each other. Now, in the trailers, they were like, oh yeah, you can watch them fight each other. Nope, they're not gonna hear that. Unfortunately, you're not. And that is quite the unfortunateness of that, right? Right. But it's a pretty interesting mode because it's a resurgence type mode. So you're playing with a squad, of course, but if one of you goes down, as long as one of your members is still up, you can come back. And the closest comparison I could give it to was the mode that came out around the 80s action heroes of sort of special season, mid-seasonal event for Cold War Season 3. This mode called Power Grab, where it's like you do stuff, you sort of get like a tier of better improvement stuff like guns, loadouts. It's different, of course, but it's essentially you run around and you can collect Monarch Intel, which essentially gives you a speed boost, and it sort of fills up a meter. As the meter goes up, you get stuff like a gas mask, an armor satchel, a loadout drop, and the biggest one is the Scream kill streak. It's an acronym, but essentially you open up this little tablet and you can position any spot on the map and you can direct either Kong or Zilla to attack. But sometimes they just start attacking on their own. It's what's called a Titan Frenzy, right? Kong is throwing rocks everywhere, beating his chest, jumping onto a spot, you'll get crushed. Godzilla, we got the fire. He shoots that laser beam, and my favorite part about this, when I was super hyped up with it, was this. You open in the plane cutscene, and the plane's flying down. And of course, every time for, every year of Warzone has had like a different intro cinematic, right? Every era. This one is, there's a plane that gets hit by like a missile or something, and it's crashing, and you're basically jumping out of a crashing plane. It's cool. But this time it's Godzilla's laser beam. And I'm not even a huge kaiju fan. I'm not even a huge Zilla fan. But oh my, I'm giddy with this. And I just wanted to share with you guys and girls and non-binary folk, whatever you identify as. I love you regardless. Do it. Do what you gotta do. Be who you want to be. But yeah, I just wanted to show y'all that's something I'm passionate about. The balance changes, I mean, that's already gone through, but the Operation Monarch mode, long story short, you shoot Godzilla and Kong, you get intel, you can make them drop rocks and shoot lasers and attack, and you can't kill them, of course, but you can make them staggered. It's an interesting event. I'm not sure. I'm sure it could be better in a lot of ways, but Kong and Zilla fighting it out. And that's all the time we have today. Thank you so much for listening to Bass Tunes on KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. I'm Arian Salimi, and I'm going to close y'all out with my vinyl recording of Broadcast's song, Goodbye Girls, the 12th song on their third studio album, Tender Buttons. Thank you all so much for listening. I love all of you dearly.